Queen Mary looked absolutely incredible, debuting the Pearl Poirier Tiara for the first time. Her Majesty has not had access to this tiara yet because she just became queen in January. And this was previously worn by Queen Marguerite of Denmark, who abdicated on December 31st, 2023. And I have to say, Queen Mary absolutely knocked every aspect of this look out of the park. She looks incredible. The tiara looks amazing. And I love the mix of the lavender or lilac and the pearls. I think it was a perfect combination. I tried to kind of reflect that a little bit here in my look today, but of course, I'm just left with a $10 headband that I got from TJ Maxx instead of a tiara probably costing six figures. So, anyways, guys, but welcome to Tiara Tuesday on Wednesday. Yes. Yes, it has been a busy last couple of weeks, but I am so incredibly excited for this video because I thought, again, Mary looked absolutely incredible. So if you love hearing about tiaras, their histories, their beauties, everything about it, feel free to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get into the history of this absolutely amazing piece. So, this tiara was a gift from King Frederick of Prussia to his daughter, Princess Louise of Prussia, for her marriage to Prince Frederick of the Netherlands in 1825. It also had a corresponding brooch. Now imagine, your dad's named Frederick, your husband's named Frederick, you probably have a brother named Frederick, a cousin or two, or uncles. Frederick was a very popular name, still is within certain royal circles. So this tiara consists of 18 large pear-shaped pearls on diamond arches. And you get a little bit of echo of the Queen Mary's lovers knot here, just a smidge, not a ton. And it is absolutely beautiful. Apparently, the King of Prussia, Princess Louise's father, commissioned a twin of this set to be made for his son, Prince Albert's marriage to Princess Marianne, though the whereabouts of that tiara remains unknown. So this is what happens to time and time. We hear about tiaras, we hear about the commissioning, and then at some point in the history books, they just kind of fall away and disappear. I find that very sad because I would love to see more of this tiara or a twin. Someday, who knows, we might actually see one come up for auction because oftentimes we think things are lost until either somebody wears them or somehow at some point they come up for auction. The tiara then made its way to Sweden via their daughter, Princess Louise, who married Crown Prince Charles of Sweden and eventually became Queen of Sweden herself. When Princess Louise became ill, her daughter, Queen Louise, came to visit her and found that she had been left the Pearl Poirier, though she never got to wear it because as she was making her journey home, she ended up actually passing away herself. The tiara then went to Queen Louise of Sweden's only surviving child, Princess Lovisa. She eventually married Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark, which is how the tiara made its way there. According to legend, she had received so many jewels that, quote, if it was all laid out on a card table, you could not see the fabric underneath. And wouldn't you like to be the recipient of that? That would be amazing. Another brooch was later added in addition to the earrings. It is also usually paired with the Kiev of Egypt necklace, which I thought was part of the original set, but looks like it's actually something different. Queen Ingrid wore the set to the wedding of Princess Ragnhild of Norway in 1953, to the wedding of King Harald and Queen Sonja of Norway in 1968. So we do have a connection with Norway here. And so it makes sense why we have Queen Mary wearing it. It also has been worn by two minor members of the royal family, Crown Princess Ingrid to the coronation of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. She eventually did become Queen of Denmark, and she was Queen Marguerite's mother. It was later worn by Princess Margaretha to the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. And it was also the first tiara that Queen Marguerite wore after her ascension. And it was the last tiara she wore as queen for the New Year's levee earlier this year. So, very much in many ways, this is obviously an echo, an acknowledgement of this particular tiara. Obviously, as well, Mary has worn in portraits the Emerald Poire Tiara set from Denmark. So, it is very, very exciting to see her bust out this one as well. It's obviously acknowledgement to Queen Marguerite and of course its history with Norway, because that is what we always want to remember, is that oftentimes when royals do these sorts of visits, they wear a particular tiara or pieces of jewelry that remind these various families of their connections together. So if there's any piece that has a history to that particular country, usually they end up wearing it. And so this was actually no exception. And I love her dress. It was made by Brigitte Hallenstein. And it's actually a rejiggering of this dress from its original wearing for the wedding of Prince Carl Philip in 2015, I believe. Now, I will say I didn't really like the dress is okay, but with the silk and stuff, it can kind of look a little bit more wrinkled. So I actually love how they redid the dress. I think the dress looks absolutely amazing. And apparently, according to Royal Fashion Police on Instagram, there were some questions over the dress and if it was a remake because there was, I guess, a lace applique on the front of that dress to begin with. But Brigitte explains that the lace on the front is detached. It was sewn by hand with silk thread, something you can always do in couture because it makes sure that the fabric doesn't get damaged. The skirt was originally two round circles arranged in large box pleats on the back. Now, half of the fabric is removed. The skirt has been trimmed and shortened, which I think is actually a great addition. The original top has been separated and a new one, a boned bodice, has been made, and a lovely silk organza that was inside the skirt before is now arranged around the shoulders, which is gorgeous. It's gorgeous and perfect. Draped with a low neckline on the back. Again, I think this is a perfect redo. It looks amazing. I think, again, the mixture of the pearls and the lilac there, oh, so incredibly perfect. And I think Mary looks incredible. I really do think I between the two looks between Sweden and Norway, I actually have to say I think the Swedish look is my favorite. And I love actually on both occasions Mary reworked a previous dress that she had worn, which I think is absolutely incredible. I love how royals can be so creative in that way. So now we get on to the next tiara here, which has quite a long history and quite an interesting one as well. And that is the Norwegian Emerald Poire Tiara. And so this is the one that Queen Sonja of Norway was wearing and is probably the most impressive piece and definitely the most historic within the Norwegian collection. So this was most likely made sometime in the early 19th century during the court of Napoleon, given its similarities to a couple of tiaras, including one housed at the National Histories Museum in Washington, D.C., but it is now set with turquoise, and one tiara that is also in the Louvre. I've actually seen both of those tiaras, and I definitely see the similarities. And so it is amazing to see that kind of echo, although there is some contention about that as well. Trond Noreen Iskasen, a historian who reports that the emeralds, according to the family's history, were mined in Russia. However, the court jeweler reports since emeralds were not discovered in Russia until the 1830s, that pushes the tiara's creation back and possibly means that it at one point belonged to the Duchess of Loeschenberg, who a lot of her jewels ended up migrating over to Sweden and then eventually Norway and Denmark. And the Duchess of Loeschenberg was the daughter in law to Empress Josephine. But, however, to sort of give credence to the idea that these could have come from the court of Napoleon, apparently Napoleon was also fond of gifting emeralds to members of the family for certain occasions. So, this is entirely possible that yes, this was made around that time. Again, don't know for sure. Don't know for sure. By 1851, the tiara was reportedly in possession of Augustus of Bavaria, Duchess of Loeschenberg, who had three living descendants. It first went to Amélie, Empress of Brazil, and when she was gifted it at that time, it was made up of a tiara, earrings, necklace, and brooch. You can perhaps see part of the emerald set here in this painting. Apparently, this set was actually put up as collateral at one point, along with other pieces of jewelry, as her husband, Emperor Dom Pedro I, fought wars in Europe on multiple fronts connected to Portugal, I think maybe Spain or something. There was something else too. The set was left to Josephine, Queen of Sweden and Norway, after that because she was Amelie's sister. Josephine then left the tiara to her daughter in law, Queen Sophia of Sweden, who was married at the time to King Oscar II of Sweden and Norway. The tiara then shows up at the coronation a couple of times in the UK for King George V and Queen Mary. And at that point, it was worn by the Crown Princess Margrethe, also known as Margaret of Connaught. And she was actually English, so it makes sense that she was able to wear it. They were then left to Sophia's daughter in law, Princess Ingeborg, not the queen, which was a bit of a surprise, but the two other women were closer, apparently. The tiara during this time in Ingeborg's possession was altered, with two of the large drop shaped emerald pieces being removed and refashioned into earrings. And so, in their place, diamond palmette elements were added. Ingeborg also took out some of the emeralds from the necklace, which you can see the original necklace here. Sort of wish she had left the original as it was, and gifted them to her daughters. And so now those pieces make up the Luxembourg's Emerald Peacock tiara. It was later born by Crown Princess Martha of Norway, Ingeborg's daughter, to the coronation of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. And the sweetest story about this particular tiara is that Princess Ingeborg gave it to her daughter Martha wrapped in a scarf as she fled Europe with her three children, including the future King Harold during World War II. Her mother told her if she needed to, she could sell it and make a little bit of money for the family. So she is saying, don't go poor, don't suffer too much. If you really need to, you are welcome to sell this, which I think is a lovely gesture because obviously the history and everything would mean this tiara would go for quite much. But it's so sweet of her mother to go, if you need to, this is collateral. You can sell this. It was later worn by Martha again to the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, meaning that it was worn for the last three British coronations before Charles. Unfortunately, because Charles decided to slim down and not make it as grand as the other ones, I'm still bummed we got no single tiara event for the Brits. I don't understand why. Everybody else does tiara events, guys. Ugh. I want more British tiara events. Come on. When Martha died of cancer relatively young before Ingeborg deemed that the tiara should be left to Harold as a future king. So his sister, though, Astrid, did wear the emeralds because their mother died quite young. And so she was the de facto first lady of Norway for several years. And when Harold finally married Sonja, which is a love story we need to cover in another video at one point for probably Royal News Network, which is my main channel. So Sonja started wearing the tiara in the 1960s and 70s as the highest ranking lady in the land. And so I'm not particularly fond of the peach dress she wore, but it's very Sonja. She looks lovely though. And this is definitely a wonderful, wonderful tiara. We also have Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway, who's wearing the amethyst necklace tiara, which doesn't have much of a history. Apparently, was purchased probably in 1999 from Gerard by King Harold of Norway, most likely as an anniversary present for Queen Sonja. It was probably part of a settlement that they got from Gerard after several pieces, including a couple they had sent in, were stolen, including a quite impressive pearl tiara. And so they got a replacement tiara there and I believe some extra money left over. So they ended up purchasing this tiara. She wore it throughout the first couple of years that she owned it as a necklace and as a tiara. And then at some point, it looks like most likely she either permanently lent it or gave it to Crown Princess Mette-Marit, who now wears it the most. She wears it basically exclusively as a tiara. I don't think we've ever seen her wear it as a necklace. It does also have a matching necklace if you ever need to do that. I will say I'm not totally a fan of her fashion look here. I don't really like totally the drop waist, but she doesn't look too bad. And I will say as well, I will link Crown Princess Mary's shoes, although the heel is the wrong height. If you are interested in those Hansagi Manolo Blahnik pumps, which are so popular from the Sex and the City series, they are actually on sale at Saks Fifth Avenue right now. They are just these shorter ones. Instead of the 105, they're the 85. So if you guys are interested in that, I will link those there as well because I think, again, Mary's whole look, I'm in love. I want it so bad. I want it so bad. But unfortunately, the headband, the $10 headband is all I can do. Maybe one day, guys, it would be fun to tour like an actual jewelry shop that keeps tiaras and jewels on hand. I have one in mind that might be great. So, guys, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of Queen Mary's look. I'd love to get your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Bye.
We don't count the carats, we count the centuries.